Good evening and welcome to the Mancunian Way, where the three of us are back together. I'm echoing again. Rich, I'm telling you it's you. Rich, I'm going to start calling Rich the Echo. Yeah, the Echo's gone. Told you we're Rich. Good evening, anyway. Ozzy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Apart from a bit of a cold, but I'll shoulder on.
Good. Richard, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. Bright and breezy. Sun shining.
We all got over yesterday.
Sorry?
Yeah, we all got over yesterday. Last night.
Well, it wasn't much to get over, but
Did you catch up on your sleep, Rich?
I've got some sleep yet.
I don't mean the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I got a nap at half time, so that was all right.
Good. Let's get in some hellos. Jack Lee Harlan's going to carry us this season. Not one-man team. Let's relax on that. Sean, hola, amigos. I've ever heard Spanish coming out of an Australian. That was a bit multilingual, that one. Good evening, Sean. CM City's in the house. How are you, mate? Hello, Tyrone Douglas. Good evening. Alec Johnson's in. Hello. Thank you, by the way, for your lovely comment earlier, mate. Do appreciate it. Adam Quinn, hello to you. Ryan Quayle, I'll have to say hello to you because my son will shout at me if I don't say hello to you. Ozzy's in the comments already. Hi, Tricks, Jack Lee. They're all saying hello to each other here. Pat's in the house. Jets, is Pat in England yet? Is he back in Australia, Rich?
I don't know. I don't know. Azerbaijan, I think, at the moment.
Is he doing a tour of the world? Around the world in 80 days with Pat?
79 days.
Is that the same Aussie from the other channel, Martin? Yes. Who came on at the last knockings before I left? Yes. That is Aussie if you mean that Aussie. I mean
any channel on earth.
Could be.
He's been around the block as old Oz. Good evening, Mingy.
Whoa!
How are you? Back in Manchester. See, he's back in Manchester tomorrow. He's jet sitting around bloody England now.
Yeah,
that's right.
Donna McGurrick says hello. Hi, how are you? You're a new face or new name. Not seen you before, but welcome to the channel. So, what we're going to kick off with today, we're going to kick off with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, obviously, we are the early kickoff on Saturday, 12:30. I hate early kickoffs. Is it just me that hates these, or is everyone loving them? I just hate them.
I absolutely love them because they kick off about 9:30 at night. It's blissful.
There you go. Rich is pleased.
Yeah, good to see the Premier League doing something for their supporters around the world.
Just getting clearance to leave Andorra. Do you see what I mean? He's bloody everywhere.
Yeah.
Evening, Spade or Scotian Range. I don't know what you want me to call you, mate, but good evening. Hope you are well. Ozzy, are you looking forward to do you like these half 12 kickoffs?
It doesn't make a difference to me, mate. Like, I mean, if I'm working, I miss the game anyway. So, yeah.
Can you just see the full of enthusiasm we've got on the panel tonight? They're all there, raring and good to go. Can you not just tell?
Martin, don't project.
Yeah, come on, seriously.
And look at the beaming smile on my face.
Right, so Wolverhampton Wanderers. Bit of a weird one, this for me, because we seem to do okay there, and then we seem to have a bit of a drop off there. It seems to be an up and down team for me, Wolves.
You say that, Martin, but actually, we've had more success over them in the last few years than not. So the last time they beat us was in 2019, and that was a 3-2 game.
Yeah, I was there. Cried.
Yeah, that was the day that Skirling scored twice. and he's no longer with us. So
Edison got sent off. Yeah, it was a fun time, and a certain left back or former left back of ours decided he wanted to play for Wolves for the evening. Anyway, let's not go into him. Before we do. So let's have a look at how Wolves have started. Are any of you two? We'll start with you, Ozzy. What do you make of Wolves so far this season? Because they are currently, I mean, they've had a bit of a mixed bag this year. They've basically drawn a lot of games.
I've only won one.
And yeah, like you said, they've only won one, which was actually the last time they played at home to Southampton.
Exactly, and it wasn't exactly a thrilling game, was it, for them?
No.
You know, they're languishing in 14th, which obviously isn't the best. I'm sure Wolves fans want them slightly a bit higher towards the end of the table, but into the league, sorry. I mean, like you said, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. You know, they've had a few injuries. Their main striker, I forget his name now.
Jimenez.
He's currently out, isn't he, for the game? So, yeah, they've had a bit of a mixed bag in their transfer policies as well. I know they brought in a couple of players, but you know, the manager has still got to prove a point. I think he did all right last season, but I think Wolves fans were hoping they were going to kind of, when they got into the Premier League and they were doing as well as they were when they came in, they were hoping they were going to kind of continuing and kind of look at the European spots, which hasn't happened. I mean, I think Wolves fans have to be realistic now. It's about staying in the league at the moment for them.
And I think one thing, if you watch them this season, and I can't say I've sat down and watched whole Wolves games, but watching the highlights, watching parts of the games, reading about them, they've generally been pretty close games. They've been pretty low scoring games. They've won 1-0, they've lost 1-0, they've had a lose 2-1, draw 1-1. They're just tight. Games. They're not threatening to score many goals, but they're not leaking, at the back like some of the teams down the bottom. So you'd expect a well-organised team. And I'm a bit surprised about that, because I thought last year that Cody was their main man at the back and was really integral to that defence. But, he's obviously gone to Everton, and despite that, they still look pretty tight. They obviously kept Neves, and they've kept reasonably tight, but they just don't look like scoring many goals either. So you can imagine it's going to be one of those games that probably rankles a little bit with the fans, because they'll probably play a bit more defensively than they have against us in recent years, but they're probably not going to be threatening that many goals. As Patrick mentions in the comments, they got Nunez. He's
a good signing. That
he was linked with him. Yeah, we were a long time. So yeah,
did Traore go back to them after his Barcelona spell?
He is now back with them.
I mean, again, like Rich, I really haven't watched any of their games. I mean, I don't know if he's even played since he's come back. But again, he was a bit of a bogeyman for us, when he played. So, I mean, his pace is electric. And I think, if they can get him behind and cause us a couple of problems, maybe. But I really don't know if he's even going to start.
I mean, I can't imagine. We'll get into the City team in a minute, but I can't imagine we Walk playing, not playing. I can imagine, obviously, Traore not being as dangerous as what we probably think. I think Walker right now, the way he started the season against Traore, might have had a bit of an issue. I really do. But I think it depends. I mean, has Traore played a lot for Wolves since he's come back? Like you said, I'm not overly keeping up on their performances and their results, but it must be very weird for him to come, because let's be honest, he was at Barcelona and he's basically been sort of used in a way to sort of get them through a little bit of a sticky 6 months financially, so they could get to the summer and then sort of cast back out to Wolves again.
Yeah, I can only imagine how he's feeling.
I think they kind of, but he must have known that was happening. I mean, no one was interested.
Depends on if you did to him.
Well, yeah.
But wasn't he linked to Spurs for quite a while? Like, there was even interest. I'm pretty sure he was linked in even this summer, like going to Spurs.
That was when they had Nunes, and Nuno was there, though, wasn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure it was even when Conte.
But that's if you believe the rumours. I mean, you got to remember the players. The players will read things in the paper that they know are true because their agents know about it. But there'll also be things in the papers that they know are not true because they've had no contact. So, I think he went back to Barcelona knowing what was happening. Although I think it's quite clear Aubameyang didn't know or thought he had a place, as striker there. So maybe some of them didn't know. But if you go to a team like that and you don't, play really, really well, and you don't really cement your place, and it's not going to last. So, I think he's just one of those players who kind of threatened in his younger days that he was going to be, a top footballer, and really it has not progressed much at all. If anything's gone backwards, and he's, apart from a few games against us in the last few years, it's hard to remember him really doing that much, in any games to really justify the hype around him. Yeah,
I mean, at the one stage he was quoted at like 70 million, wasn't he? And it even been linked with us at times. So, I mean, he did, he did come from Barcelona's academy. I think that's probably where the kind of the build-up has come around it, really, hasn't it? Really, that he was one of La Masia's, prospects, and he didn't start really for Barcelona at any point until he went over there like last summer. But there's no denying that he does have a bit of quality here and now and again, which is mainly his pace and his physique. About kind of shugging off other players. But like I said, Rich, the hype has been a bit over the top.
Yeah, they've got that good. I don't think he'll play, but if Jimenez is fit, and I think he could be back, or could be playing against us, and they've got Neves and Nunes and
they've got some quality players,
some good quality midfield players, and they've got Jimenez is an experienced striker. He's not a goal a game or even a goal every other game, but he's a very experienced striker. He knows how to play the game with a good midfield behind him. So if they do remain tight at the back like they have been, then they've certainly got a quality to get themselves back up into the middle of the table.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at them on paper, they've got a really good sort of squad that I think should quite easily get a top 10, top 11, 12 finish quite comfortably when you look at, because they've got some talent. Like I said, they brought in Nunes, who a lot, Liverpool were after, openly after. We were openly after. Some clubs abroad were openly after. And he's gone to Wolves. I mean, no doubt, I know that's probably down to the agent and the Portuguese links. Isn't Mr. Mendes involved at Wolves as well, Rich?
Well, he's helping them out a bit. I mean, really, they are Portugal. I mean, they're a Portugal second 11, aren't they? I mean, they don't have many players who are going to start for Portugal. They don't have that many of those top Portuguese players, the Bernardos of this world. But actually,
they've still got quite a few international.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I mean. A Portuguese second 11 could have 10, 11 Portuguese, internationals in it, and it could have quite a few squad members at the World Cup. What I mean is they're not nailed on starters. They're not the players who are, in the main who are going to start every game for Portugal, but they've got a good team.
No, and there is one signing that we forgot they've actually just recently made, and that's Diego Costa. I think.
Yeah,
I was coming away, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he was once prolific in the Premier League. I'm not saying that he's going to be this season, but he's obviously been signed because Jimenez, I think, possibly won't start because I think he still is injured. But he can still probably put it in the back of the net if
Well,
if he's given the chance.
Depends if Mangala's playing up.
Yeah,
I was over for that game when Lampard scored and Mangala kept
anybody who can keep Mangala can keep him quiet. I ain't worried about Stones, Aki, or anybody else who've got to keep him quiet.
Yeah.
What is he, like 48? I mean, come on, this is not 2010 anymore, sunshine. What's he doing? He just come back for a bloody payday, hasn't he?
Well, I think he's why not? Wolves desperately.
Watch this, he'll go back hat trick now.
Wolves desperately needed a player, and he fitted the bill. I mean, he's only like 33, 34. He's not as old as you'd think. He's just been off, playing for the money, outside, the top European leagues. So he's kind of been forgotten about. But he's not that old if he's fit. Although, I think we have to be pretty doubtful about how fit he is.
I think Trincao has left. I'm just looking now, Pat, whether...
He went on loan, didn't he?
I'm sure he's left. Yeah, I'm sure he's gone, Trincao.
Yeah, I think he went out on loan. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of somebody else, but I thought he went out on loan.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they brought in Guedes, obviously from Valencia. If we all remember that Goncalo Guedes, there was a lot of rumours about where he was going. And he suddenly rocked up at Wolves, the winger, for around 30 million quid. They've spent, obviously, 40, 50 million on Mateus Nunes. They've obviously gone, Diego Costa, as much as we're joking, won't be coming in on cheap wages. He'll be coming on a good amount of wages, no doubt, with his pedigree. And then, obviously, they brought in Nathan Collins, they brought in Kolasinac, and they've obviously also... looks like, from what I can see, they bought Hee Chan Wang as well. Didn't they bring him in a permanent in the end? So they've spent a good chunk of cash, Wolves, this summer. So I do look at them and I think this is. I look at Wolves in the same way I look at a Villa, in the same way I look at an Everton. I find clubs like that interesting because I'd love to know where their plan is moving forward, because I don't think they're quite capable of going to the top 6, but I don't think, do you know what I mean? They're sort of in that middle section where they get cut adrift, really. It sounds awful, that, doesn't it? But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think they are, but I think they're a bit different to Villa. I think Villa have spent a lot of money. I think you are, probably underestimating what Wolves have achieved relatively to Villa. Villa has spent several hundred million. They were, I think, net spend, in the net spend league, even with Grealish, Villa were top 6 in the Premier League over a few seasons. So in that sense, Villa have bought a lot of expensive players and they've really done that. Whereas Wolves have got Project Portugal. They've got they've got a plan really to bring in a few experience like Matinho, but generally young Portuguese talent, bring them through. They kind of have to sell them without selling them at extortionate prices, which suggests to me that the reason they get them is because there is an understanding they're not going to hold them there and demand 150 million. But they come through, and if they get to a certain level and someone comes in for them, like happened with Jota, they get sold, they move on, and they bring the next player through. And, that's their plan. I think Villa have actually gone out and spent a lot more money. Villa have gone out and signed expensive centre-backs, forwards, midfielders. They've spent a lot of money. So I think
over
Villa...
the last 2 or 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they spent a ton to come up, and then they spent a ton in their first season. We gave them a bit of a helping hand with Jack Grealish, but in terms of that money, but I think they're a lot more aggressive in what they're aiming to do.
I'm laughing, Rich, because I know what's going to appear in the comments when you've said that. Anyway.
I'm just building links, Martin, to the next topics we move to.
I know you are, right. So City then, this weekend, are we expecting a lot of changes? Oz, we'll start with you. Are we expecting wholesale changes? Are you expecting a lot from Wednesday night?
Well, obviously, I wasn't involved with the chat after the game, and for me, from what you were saying prior to the game, it's not the team I'd have started with either. And obviously, the changes that Pep made to bring on Foden and Julian Alvarez, I think were the right calls because they were just the better players up front. I mean, I would be hoping you'd see a similar kind of front three. At the back, I'd like to think that because Walker, I'm not sure he's going to be playing, if I'm honest. So it'd be Cancelo. I just think you're going to need that pace. And as quick as Stones can be, I don't think, Stones and Ake and I forgot our other new signing.
Calvin Phillips.
Akanji,
thank you, Rich. I think are pretty good, but I mean, I would probably be looking at kind of making Gomez come in. Have Gomez and Cancelo at either wing. That's what I'd be looking at, really. I think because we need to see this kid play. For me, I think it's a good game for him to come in.
Rich, you expecting changes?
Yeah, I kind of felt that our team against Dortmund was very shaped about the fact we had, considerably under 72 hours between the two games. So I think the team was picked knowing that four or five players will drop out of the Dortmund team for playing Wolves. So, I fully expect Foden, 100% expect Foden will be back in. I'd hope Alvarez. Pep doesn't seem to be starting him. So, maybe I'm wrong, but I'd hope Alvarez is back. Bernardo will be back almost certainly. I'd like to see Calvin Phillips get a game, but given we've got an international break coming, I can't, it wasn't a particularly tough game on Saturday night. I suspect Rodri will start, so probably KDB and Gundogan gets a rest. At the back, I mean, it partly depends on fitness and injuries, but because we haven't got quite as much choice, I'd prefer to see, expect to see Diaz come back in and, whether that's to replace Ake or Akanji, I'd probably take Ake out. And at fullback, I suspect it will be Stones and Cancelo again because, I don't think we're going to risk Cancelo and Gomez in the game quite yet. So I think there'll be a fair bit of change. And that's assuming that the players who played, that there isn't anyone who's not fully recovered, given it's only 65 hours or something. There could be other players who haven't fully recovered and So
you've not got Stones right back?
I think Stones will probably play right back if he's ready to go. Because, I don't think Walker's going to be back.
Listen, I think the Alvarez thing, I keep... Listen, I can only give you my opinion on it. That's all I can do. I think he's just easing the lad in. I think he's just easing him in. And as much as I know it's frustrating for us all, we want to see him, he should be in. I just think he's easing him in. He's had no break. He's literally come from Argentinian football straight to the Premier League. no holiday, no nothing, straight here. And I think he's just bedding him in. I think that's all he's doing with him. And also the way I looked upon it is Alvarez. I see Alvarez being here in 10 years still. So for me, he's got a long future ahead of him.
He has, but I don't think. I mean, there's bedding him in, but the problem is that Riyad Mahrez looks like he's in bed already playing, and Grealish not far behind. So we can't afford to, leave a player in great form, resting. What are they trying to get? Give him a pre-season or what? I don't get it.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. The pre-season
he's fit. He's fit. He's healthy. He's very young. And
I have to agree with Rich on this. Yeah, I think you need to play him.
Yeah, I think Pep's making a mistake. I mean, I actually don't think he's doing that. I think he's trying to play Mahrez and Grealish into form. I think he's just being a bit stubborn. I don't think there's really a medical or whatever reason. I think there could be after the World Cup, but yeah. And unless there's something we really don't know about, in terms of him settling in off the pitch, I see it. And there's no sign of that.
He said he's not just got to get used to Premier League football, he's got to get used to the UK. He's got to get used to the whole kid-caboodle.
But he's not. Normally when that's happening, a player's not playing well, they're looking distracted, whereas he looks just so happy to be out on the pitch, to be playing. He's got so much energy, and our problem is but he's
we don't really know if he's sort of
no, Martin, he has looked good in every bit of football he's played this year. He's looked intense, he's looked solid, he's looked energized, he's looked happy. I don't see the point. You're getting Mahrez, who's still on his sunbed in Algarve in his pajamas, and they're putting him out on the wing being ineffectual. And what the message to Mahrez needs to be, you've got to get your intensity, you've got to get your game back if you're playing. And this young lad's come in and he deserves to be playing. And at the moment, I don't know. I think it's, I think we've perhaps got a bit lucky in a couple of games playing out of form players that we shouldn't be playing. And, I don't know. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with Rich on this one, Martin. I think he's got valid points. I think you don't, not start a player who's well in form when you've got Mahrez who just hasn't kick-started from last season. Yes, he played really well, top goal scorer for us, but he's just not there, is he?
I just think it's squad rotation. We're in a very unprecedented season. I think we've got something stupid like 8 games in 24 days, is it, or something daft like that coming up. I just think he's got to use his squad right now.
But he's not. That's my feeling. He's not.
Grealish hasn't hardly kicked a ball all season.
He's been injured. I can understand using a squad, but justify to me how Riyad Mahrez has more minutes on the pitch than Alvarez.
So that's why I'm saying the only reason is Rich, because he's bedding him in.
Yeah, but he's not. You're not bedding something in. He's playing it. He's playing you for half an hour at the end of the game, or starting and taking you off.
Hey,
bedding in. It's not putting you on the bench. No. Let's be honest here. Bedding in is getting something in the garden. He's not getting him in the garden. He's leaving him in the garage.
I said this when everyone thought this kid was coming in and coming straight into the team and playing week in, week out. And I said it wasn't happening. It's not what Pep does.
Well, to be honest, Martin, you thought he was going to go out on loan to begin with. So, he hasn't.
I was saying we're one step above that at the minute, mate.
I know, exactly. And I'm really pleased we're above that because, I was saying before he played.
I told everyone Cole Palmer wasn't playing. This is what I'm saying with Pep. Pep doesn't throw out youngsters. He doesn't do it. He's stubborn with it. I know it's a frustration, but he's bloody stubborn with the thing.
We can see that's happening, but what I'm saying is, it's a mistake.
I agree. No, listen, I agree. I want Alvarez to play more.
And we want out, we don't want to throw away, we could throw away a couple of games, maybe not against Wolves, but against Spurs, we just started, we had Mahrez and Jack Grealish. We could have potentially thrown away 3 points. And those 3 points
Okay, then, Nick.
be very important at the end of the season.
Going off topic here, but when do you start Mahrez and Grealish then?
When you start Mahrez and Grealish, when
the Carabao Cup?
No, you start them when other players need a rest. Now, you start at the moment, the players who deserve to start the game, unquestionably for me, on the wide of Haaland, unless you play Bernardo up there, because Bernardo's played well, but are Foden and Alvarez with Bernardo. They're the three players who've played to the side of Haaland, who've done the best, who've looked good. So you play Mahrez when Alvarez or Foden need a rest. You play Mahrez when he comes on and he shows his form and he shows his hunger. And, you don't just drop the players who, to be fair, Foden's a different thing, because I think Foden has started nearly every game he could, and rested. So I don't think that, Pep's been unfair on Foden in any way. But I do think that Alvarez is probably 180 minutes under where he should be this season on form and on the games we've played.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm no dispute with Alvarez playing. I haven't. I'm just trying to think of a reason why he's not played him. That can be the only reason, because that's what Pep said, and Pep seems to be sticking to that little plan of I'm gonna bring him in slowly. Right. So then, for me, I do see changes. Bernardo comes in. I don't want to see that midfield again. That midfield is too slow.
Totally
I want
agree.
Bernardo in that midfield. If it means Gundogan has to drop out, Gundogan has to drop out, I'm afraid.
Well, to be honest, Martin, I thought he's looked quite leggy this season. Like, I think, his age is starting to show. As quality as a player that he is, for me, that has got to be the next kind of where we start looking at improving next summer or in January if we need to. Because
I think we saw our replacement on Wednesday.
Yeah. And I've been saying it for how long have I been saying it?
Stop. We're not doing it. We'll see. We'll see next summer. Listen, let's not start jumping down that rabbit hole yet. Yeah, I do think Bernardo will play KDB. I got a feeling Rodri will rest this one. I think Calvin Phillips comes in. Calvin Phillips has to come in at some point. Jesus Christ, he has to start at some stage.
And he knows Wolves as well.
He's getting no minutes. He's had less time than Alvarez.
And he's had good games against Wolves, not just in the Premier League, but in the Championship as well. So it's a team that he's well versed in.
Yeah. I agree. I want to see Phillips start a game because overplaying Rodri has been one of our big problems for seasons. And we really need to rotate that position. I just think because there's an international break coming up, I'd just be surprised if, with a one-off game like that, Pep decides to do it. And if he did, I just think he would have given Phillips longer midweek. But then maybe that was always the plan. Maybe it was to play Rodri 90 minutes knowing Phillips is going to play against Wolves. Because, I'm not sure Rodri is the ideal player to back up in less than 3 days.
And then my front three, I do think it'll be Phil Foden, the undroppable Norwegian machine. You just don't drop him. You really don't. Or as I've heard him being called today, the Haaland Fabrizio Romano, because he's now a tapping merchant. Yeah. And this is where I'm stuck. Because if you don't play Alvarez, which I would, he's going to go with Mahrez or Grealish, isn't it? I think Pep's still trying to find something on this right hand side.
Yeah.
You look
To be
on this
honest with
right
you-
hand side, he's chopped and changed it all season.
I would, given a choice between those two, I'd start Grealish over Mahrez.
Was it me or did
In
Rich
the-
just go 20 decibels up then?
Sorry?
Have you done something with your microphone? Has anyone else, Rich has just gone up 20 decibels, or was it me?
Just you, mate.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
just
it's
you.
me.
Yeah, no,
Hang
I
on, go on,
think
Rich. Try again.
I'm just saying, if you were going to start Mahrez or Grealish, I would definitely start Grealish. I think Grealish has been better than Mahrez this year. And
Right, well, that's giving me the
I-
caveat straight in, isn't it?
I wouldn't mind seeing Grealish on the right if we're not going to start. But most likely, if he started Grealish and Foden, he'd start Foden on the right and Grealish on the left.
Yeah.
Right. Anyone expecting anything but a win on Saturday? I won't do score predictions.
No, I think Richard was right with saying it'd be a kind of, Wolves will probably play very defensive. We'll have to break them down. It may be another ugly game like it was against Dortmund. I don't see them countering that much, but I don't think it's going to be, ridiculous scoreline. But I just think it's going to be just an ugly kind of game, really.
And with Patrick, it's international break. Screw it. Let's go and beat him 6-1.
Well, yeah, no. If we play a team with intensity and everything else, then I think we can. But if Pep wants to play, 5 Rick Holdens alongside Haaland, and we play at the pace of Rick Holden, then we're going to see a dull game.
Yeah, the
Phillips
tempo
and
has got to be
Roderick,
a lot
no.
better.
One of. Not both, mate. One of. Yeah, I think it comes down to, I think we'll come out on Saturday. I think Pep has to respond. Because I think Pep knows he dropped a bit of a bollock in the first half yesterday. We'll get onto it in the next point. I think there was a reason why I did that yesterday. But, I think he knows. I dropped my bollock. I've learned it was 0-0. We go again. And I think he'll come out with intensity. I really do. And I think, I can see us getting quite a comfortable win on Saturday, if I'm honest with you. And then we sit back, put our feet up, and watch everyone else find it out then. I'm really relaxed about this weekend, actually. I'm probably the most relaxed I've been in going into any game this season. I'm quite chilled and relaxed about it.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah, it's a terrible sign.
That means we'll get beat. Right, so let's sort of move on then to Wednesday night. A certain somebody. I'm going to pull out. I'm going to move away from this in a minute and just let you two say. A certain someone has been getting a load of crap from fans. Funnily enough, I've seen more media defending him, actually, today than I have seen fans defending him. A lot of former Vex players have been defending Grealish, actually, today. Gabby Abanglahor was one of them. Jack Grealish. Start with you, Oz, because you want to talk about this. What is going on? Are fans losing the plot for no reason? Are we going too hard? What?
I think the big thing that we kind of have to is the elephant in the room is just the price tag, isn't it? It keeps coming back to that. Is the first £100 million player to come in, especially it's the first £100 player, has to be City, doesn't it? And I think we can all agree that really and truly, like even before that price tag was agreed, we all knew he wasn't worth that kind of money. He's a quality player. He's very talented, but he's not worth 100 million. And I think that is just the albatross around his neck right now that he's having to deal with. Now, no one can deny his first season was poor, compared to what a lot of people thought he might come in and do. But as we know, like certain other players like Mahrez, it takes time for players to settle in and kind of get used to the City way, the Pep system. And I still think that, a lot of fans are jumping on that bandwagon of like, well, he's not, scored a goal, he's not had an assist, he's, what's going on, he's had blah, blah, blah. And, you've got to be just sensible about this, is that I think, he is a quality player. I think he does need a lot more time than just a couple of weeks of the start of the second season. I think he is trying, but I think for me, I have to agree that from what I've seen a lot of pundits say, is just that he's not really letting himself go. He's not taking that extra chance. He's not taking that extra defender. He's making the safe pass. So I think he's just got to be let loose a little bit more, and where that needs to come from him or Pep needs to kind of say to him, listen, for me, he could be the Sterling, of West. When Sterling first came in, wasn't brilliant. It took him quite a while to settle in, but as soon as he did, as soon as like Pep had moulded him, look at the player that Sterling turned into. So for me, you've got to give him a lot more time.
I think Noah means Haaland, not
Yeah.
Grealish.
Yeah, no, I think I think it's the opportunity, not the time. For me, my problem with Grealish is he was always on a hiding to nothing with the price tag. But the one thing we have to say is the price tag's not his fault. And once you've paid the money, really it's irrelevant. He's one of a player in the squad, and whether he cost 100 million, he cost nothing. You're still going to play your best 11 players. You're not going to play your best 11 players based on value for money. You're going to play your best 11 players, and you're going to play them in the right place. To me, when I saw him at Villa, he was often playing in a free role behind the striker, around the striker, going back into midfield, going right, going left, having freedom. And, he's
KDB role.
Yeah, like we let KDB play. And to me, so I've seen it with Foden this season playing on the left as well. We play a left back who thinks they're a left winger, who thinks they're, the kind of John Barnes, Modric cross, and it is going right up there and pushing up onto that flank. And I've seen in a lot of games, either Grealish, and Foden as well, who, I don't think any of us criticise Foden. I think top player. They get just stuck out on that wing, and they end up, one of the games a few weeks ago, Foden was doing it, going wide, stopping, and just cutting back a 45-degree backwards diagonal pass. And because they're almost trapped up there, because Cancelo has gone so far up that flank and is playing so high up the pitch that you've almost put Grealish and Foden in this little box on the side. And Grealish against Dortmund, he tried, but and he beat a man.
He's not our worst player, Ray.
And he cut back in. Yeah, but he drove into the area. He beat a player. The trouble is, when he shot, 3 or 4 times he shot, there was 4 defenders between him and goal, and the ball didn't go more than a metre before the defender had got to it on his shot, and it went wide and got us a corner. But I don't know. I'd maybe like to see Grealish on the right, and instead of cutting in onto his right foot, trying to go round the player and put a cross in with his right foot to Haaland, or do something a bit different. It just strikes me that we've 8 times out of 10 he's played for us, he's played in this left wing position in a really touchline hugging role, which just he doesn't look particularly good at. And most of the time, Cancelo's so far up the pitch, he could be there anyway. So I don't feel we're giving him the chance. He I'd be amazed now if he became what we thought was £100 million player for us. But that doesn't mean that I don't think we can get a lot more out of him. And I don't know what the fear is about chucking him on the right or playing him, in a game at, with someone like Walker behind him and just trying something a bit different, because I don't know. I just find whoever's playing on the left for us up front a bit of a waste of time in a lot of games, because Cancelo's there and they're almost doubling up. And, Even Foden, when he's looked at his best this season, is when when Cancelo went off and Foden was given the freedom of the left side of the Etihad.
Okay.
So is it that he's been playing in that wrong position? Then does he need to have that more KDB role where he's got more freedom, more in the midfield than out on the left?
Well, I think he needs more freedom, and that either means playing that role on the left, but probably without Cancelo coming and taking up 80% of his territory, or try him on the right, try him somewhere else, because I just don't think that Cancelo and Grealish has worked in many or any of the games they've really played together. It's not been a disaster. We've won probably 75% of those games, but it just hasn't done, Grealish particularly justice. Now, if he gets given that chance and he doesn't take it, then I think some of their fans' opinions are a bit more justified, because I think at the moment it isn't working.
For me, and I've done something today I don't normally do. I watch games a couple of times. Gone back and watched Dortmund games. Funnily enough, I watched it twice with my dad. And you know what? And I sat there and I thought, right, watch this, because I thought, like I said, I didn't know whether I was being too much Agent Grealish last night and being his agent and his dad. So I thought, no, go back. Do you know what I noticed? For me, anyway. That midfield last night, you had Grealish, KDB, and Rodri. You then had Cancelo on the left. You had Gundogan, Cancelo, and Grealish all trying to take the same part of the pitch up. Gundogan, as we know, cuts in. Wants to go on the left, cut in. Cancelo, come in, cut in. What does Grealish want to do? Come in, cut in. And what they're doing is they're all trying to fight for a 10-inch piece of grass, trying to get this ball through. And Grealish is not going to do anything in that sort of style. And the other thing I looked at as well is the guys had no runs of games. Even last season, he didn't really actually have any runs of games. I mean, I said something like a year ago. Do you remember? No, probably about 2 years ago. Do you remember when Mahrez first come? And let's be honest, the fans were on the back of Mahrez after 3 or 4 games when he first arrived. For the exact same reason we've now got with Grealish. It's funny how you're literally looking at identical arguments at the moment between Mahrez and Grealish and when they first arrived. Grealish, Mahrez, I always say to him, when the guy gets a run, and when I mean by a run, I'm talking 10, 11, 12 games. You go back and look at Mahrez when he first come. He had 2, 3 games. By that 3rd game, he scored a goal and got like possible man of the match. Then Pep drops and then drops him for 5 games. So he's gone. His momentum's dead at that point. He does the exact same thing with Grealish. You go back to Grealish. Grealish had got to a stage, if you look at that Real Madrid game away, Grealish was very good, actually. If it wouldn't have been for Courtois, or as I call him, Courtois, after what he did last year, pulling off fingertip saves and toe saves, Grealish should put us into a Champions League final. But it was all ignored. Then he went and we played Club America and we played Bayern Munich, and Grealish was on fire. I remember doing the watch along. Grealish was the one doing the cutback for Haaland, if we all remember. Then he got injured. Momentum's gone again. Rich is bang on. For me, he has to play with Gomez, because Gomez will run the line, hit the line, and then what does the fullback? The fullback has to go with Gomez then. He has to go with Gomez, which then frees up Grealish to have the space to come inside. Because Cancelo's running down And he might as well bloody hold Grealish's hand. Grealish, Gundogan, and Cancelo last night might as well held hands and sing Kumbaya together. They were that close. It was pointless. Mahrez, you've got a different argument because, in a way, Mahrez has been here for a long time and he's stop, start. That's Mahrez's issue. But where I felt sorry for Mahrez was, and this is what annoyed me a little bit, Pep was at fault last night for the first half because Mahrez had sat there waiting for Walker to do what? Overlap. John Stones ain't overlapping at any point, at any stage, in any way. So Mahrez had sat there going, where's me right back? Hang on a minute, he's normally gone by this point. And John Stones is at the halfway line waving at him, hello. So it just, the whole team did not jet. It was, and part of it was, and I'm going on, I do apologise. Part of it is Pep said 2 weeks ago, we were conceding too many silly goals. Too many stupid, silly goals. And it was a concern for him. So what did he do last night? He went boring as hell. He went, I'm going to be boring for 45 minutes. Boring, slow, pedestrian, but we won't bleed and concede.
No, I tend to agree. And I thought,
anchor on at the minute. He's scared.
Yeah, I think there's some truth in that.
Sorry, I'm over.
I think there's some truth in that. I think I think Pep was probably livid with our defence the first 6-7 games of the season. So I think shutting up shop was part of the boredom. Anyway, Mike, we should probably move on. We've got some. I think we've Grealish to death, but we'll see. Hopefully, he'll get that chance to just play slightly differently.
Just on, yes, I would, Anthony, but the problem is you're going to have to wait till KDB departs that slot. And that may not happen. Anyway, right, thank you. I'm going to get into comments in a moment. Next thing. Chelsea owner then wants to do in North versus South game to help the football pyramid. Matt, I don't just want, because I'm going to let you go on this, let you lead on this, mate, because you want to have the biggest say. I don't just want to do, we're not just going to do, it's a crap idea, it's a bad idea. Obviously, we're going to look at both sides of the coin. So, Ozzy, you go first, mate.
So this came out from Todd Burley, the new Chelsea owner. Bizarrely, in some respects, I think fans have kind of taken it a little out of context, because I think his whole approach was that he felt that this would be a great for the money to flow down, to the bottom end of the pyramid, to the Championship and further down. And he looks at it as similar things are done in the US where it raised, I think he said $200 million. I think if I'm right on that. For the All Stars, the NFL and the whatever else, NBA, I think it is as well. They do the All Stars for, and it's not the worst idea in the world, but it's just not practical. I think if we're honest, as Klopp came out, where the hell would you fit it? And I think the other argument that's come out as well today is, who would insure the players for this? And, again, there are lots of things to come out of this. And I think most fans of the Premier League are just like, this is an American owner who has not got a clue. He's coming up with stupid ideas and we're just going to ignore him and tell him he's stupid, which, yes, you can have that attitude, but I think he's also tried to kind of say that, he feels that there's a way of making money and making that money filter down to the other clubs further down the pyramid.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the prime opportunity for a good rant. And not necessarily.
We'll all go mute now.
Not necessarily.
This is now an impromptu rant
on Bowley, but the problem with football, and this is why the Bowley's idea will be met by ridicule in some quarters, is that football is club football and international football. In the NBA and in the NFL, you don't have players going off and playing international football. So fundamentally, it's a nonsense from him that there's time in the season that the players need an extra game. But it's not nonsense that we should be putting a lot more money into the lower leagues. It's not nonsense that, we shouldn't be paying 300, 400k a week to footballers, whilst that 1 week's pay of that footballer could go into Division 3 and or Division 2 and save clubs like Oldham and save clubs like Bury, because football in Britain is made on that 4-league structure. So he's absolutely bang on that money should be going there. And he's probably absolutely bang on that we shouldn't be playing these stupid international friendlies where at the end of the season, it's going to happen. I know there's a World Cup coming up, but at the end of the season last year, we had this Nations bloody league where a load of teams, I've never met a single fan who was remotely interested in it, but because FIFA and the international clubs want to keep themselves important, they make as the players go off and play these international games that no one's interested in. The players weren't interested in. The England players were on the pitch, bloody bored out their minds, all wanting to be on holiday in California, all wanting to be Algarve, but the international clubs, to keep their power, the men in the grey suits, make them play the games. Now, if Todd Bowley's going to shake that up by saying we should do something a bit different and actually take a bit of power back to the clubs who pay the players, who actually are there with the fans, who keep the game going, and take a bit of power off international football, then good on him. But I think the players are playing 15, 20 games too much as it is already. So you've got to take something out of football. So the discussion shouldn't be, let's add another game. The discussion should be, how do we cut 6 friendlies out of international football every year? How do we stop players going off and having to go down to Brazil for 2 weeks to play against Torremolinos in the Red Bull Pomegranate Cup or something? How do we stop that? And how do we actually get the players staying in the country and getting a bit of rest? So good on Todd Bowley for that change. I don't know what you boys think, but we've just got to nip international football in the bud a bit and just get that calendar sorted out.
I just wanted to have Rich have the floor for a minute.
Thank you.
Encore.
Yeah. But
I know what you're saying.
It's better. It's better, and the players would like it more than some stupid international friendly, which is what they're doing at the moment.
Would they?
But personally, I think they should be going on holiday and actually getting a rest.
Would there? And Vater's about to join us in a minute, so it'll be interesting to get Vater.
I don't think I've seen players look as pissed off with playing as the England players in the friendlies. When we lost, when they lost 4-0 to Hungary or whatever. I don't think I've ever seen footballers look that bored, apart from maybe when Frank Clark was managing City.
I'm just going to bring Rich Vater in. Right. I'm gonna have a little run at my own. I get what they're saying. I get it on this north and south. But the idea was, what was talked about was, instead of the Community Shield. Now, for me, you are never, ever going to get clubs to release their players on the curtain raises to the season. They ain't going to do that. Because you've got a problem of who manages it, who physios, who does whatever. Because the first player to go out and get injured in this so-called North and South job, who then foots the bill and the insurance on that? Like we said, there's too much. I'm not saying the idea is bad, but is this just another 39 game? Is this just opening the door to the 39th game again?
What, in the US?
Yeah. Is this what we're doing, really? Is this... the fans have fought for 2, 3, 4 years to stop the Super League, stop this 39th game. We've fought tooth and nail to stop this. And then this idea crops up. And then it's
not a new idea, though, Martin. This isn't the first time this has been brought along.
Is it just an old idea reworded and hashed around?
Well, yeah, I mean it is, because I think Rio Ferdinand had tweeted it like years ago, like saying it's a similar idea, you know, that had come out at the time. So it's another hashed plan that's come out, you know, from out of nowhere again, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to. This is going to continue. You know, the Super League is going to come back around in the next year or two. You know, it's nothing. These ideas are going to keep coming, and you know these.
Even left that. Sorry to interrupt, but haven't the Spanish clubs still in that? That hasn't actually been on, has it?
Well, no, 3 clubs. Atletico pulled out, but Juventus, Madrid, and
Barcelona are all still in it.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's part of. I think there's some really, really big, fundamental power struggles in football. You know, I think there's one in European football, which is between the Premier League and the rest of it. I think the Super League actually is more about combating the Premier League and trying to get some of the Premier League money back onto the continent than it really is about some of the things people say. I think there's a real battle in European football, England against the rest of the world. And where some of the mistakes have been made is that some of the other clubs have almost sided with Europe against City because they're a bit scared of City. So I think some of the English clubs have made a mistake on that, and they haven't really seen what the real, you know, their real enemy is. I think there's also a massive battle in for the soul of the game between FIFA and UEFA. So you've got all these things going on. You've got world football, and you know, talking about World Club Cups, World Cups every 2 years, adding in, you know, all these things. And then UEFA combats that by adding in the Nations League and talking about having the Euros more often. And the players, and you're seeing this, you know, Pep said it a bit, but particularly Klopp has become quite vehement on, the players are just being asked to play more and more and more games because every time, you know, and so Bowley's just saying, well, we want a bit more for the club, so we'll add another game in. And the next result of that will be UEFA will come up with the North Europe versus South Europe game that they'll add in for money. And then the FIFA will come in and say, well, let's play Western Hemisphere against Eastern Hemisphere, and we'll just add in more and more games. And that has a few factors. One, it actually takes, you can actually have too much football. I know some people don't think this, but you can actually have too much football, and you can knock the quality.
It was a meltdown over postponements last weekend.
Yeah, but the meltdown was postponements, because all that's doing is punting a problem down the road to a time where the players are going to have to play 4 games in a week, and you know, and that is going to kill the English clubs. You know, we get to the end every year in the Champions League, and we see, and you know, I've got no doubt that, you know, and not sticking up for Liverpool here, but Liverpool at their peak last season versus Madrid at their peak last season, Liverpool were a better side. In that Champions League final, Liverpool were dead on their feet. They were out of ideas. City, you know, I think, you know, we lost concentration mentally against Madrid. We were tired against the Chelsea City final a couple of years ago. Both sides looked knackered. Our season fell apart because players like Rodri had been overplayed. Same with Tottenham, Liverpool. the English clubs are playing way too much football, and it is hurting the game. It's hurting us in the Champions League. So let's start working out how to cut football out before we start adding it in.
Well, I think we now need to kind of get our friend across the pond's view on this, because obviously I think he's got a good perspective. So
I'm feeling we need to bring Rich's rants back on a weekly basis. Vader, good evening, mate. How are you? Right, north and south.
I'm good. This north-south, and again, I know I'm across the pond. I'm a North American fan. I'm actually completely against it. I'm completely against it, and it's for many of the reasons why I fell in love with English football. Like, there's first already a congested calendar of football, whether it's domestic or international. There's also pre-existing established recognition for the best players, whether it's team of the year, whether it's English best, whether it's team of the week. Like, things progress where you're already giving recognition to the players that are good, are great. And at the end of the year, obviously, those players are recognized as well. This all-star element, and I'll be quick to say, I consume them all over here. Like, I watch MLB, which is Major League Baseball. I watch NHL, which is the National Hockey League. I watch the NBA, National Basketball Association, and I watch the NFL, National Football League. They all have their all-stars. The all-star event itself makes money, draws attention, TV views, fans, they travel to them. They want to experience it. It is an experience. The game itself is trash. Whether you're watching NHL, it's a contact sport, the game's trash. NFL, contact sport, the game is trash. NBA, again, not as much contact, but it's a very explosive sport. And they've had to tweak it for it to be entertaining because the game was trash. MLB is the only one where obviously there's pitching, there's batting, there's a home run derby I'm sure you've heard of. That does have a lot of high attention and still kind of plays at a high level. But the rest of it is just walking through the motions. It's just, yeah, I get it. It's just a recognition of the great players for the season, and they get their applause, they get their cheers. But the game itself is a waste of time for the players. And they've had to tweak it to actually incentivize these players to want to take part in it. Because many players in the past years would, I got a hammy, a back pain, and they would actually bow out so they can actually have some time to rest. I definitely see the same thing happening with this. There's no reason to think that an all-star introduced into the English Premier League is going to go a different route to what these other all-stars are. Now, Todd B is a millionaire. Millionaires can have bad ideas. He had his 4-4-3 idea. We know how bad that was. He now is introducing the all-star, and I know it's not a new idea, but to throw it out again, I think is uninformed, is poorly formed, because you can create an event based off of what already exists on the players that are recognized and maybe celebrate them. Sorry, let me rewind. All-star games at their fundamental, Rich will appreciate this, they're money makers. So it will be another event to squeeze every possible dollar out of local fans, international fans, viewing fans. Because what do they come out with? They come out with unique kits. They come out with all-star memorabilia. But and all-stars do go from city to, or in the States, it goes from state to state, city to city. The same thing would happen if they were to introduce it. If you're trying to generate more money, if you're trying to squeeze out more dollars, it makes absolute sense. If you're looking for entertaining football, we're going to miss the mark, to be real. All the other all-stars, they're just events to cheer on the star players, but they're not great sport.
Well, to be totally honest, don't forget I know it's a different thing. We have Soccer Aid over here. I don't know if they show it over in Canada, mate, but they have the celebrity team against the old pros.
Mhm.
Now that sells out, and they've got kits in it. It's even on FIFA, the FIFA video games and
Yep.
everything else. I just think that, I mean, he's talking about the pyramid and saying 200 million. That wouldn't actually, I don't think, for a start off, like they said, I don't think it even gets anywhere near the championship, never mind bloody any coming out of the Premier League. And
It's
do you know
smoke
what
and
else?
mirrors.
I think he's misjudged. And maybe I'm wrong, Vate, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. We have a uniqueness in this country. We have rivalries that are probably a little bit. I know there's rivalries around the world. I get that. And I know in Argentina and everything else. But in England, we have this rivalry. And we do. And it even happens within clubs. And I'm telling you now, for me, could you imagine City, United, Liverpool, Everton sitting around the table going, right, which players are we going to release here? Jesus Christ. It'd be like the United Nations sitting down for a meeting between them all of who's letting who out here and who's bringing him on that.
I don't know it'd be that bad, Mark. I mean, nowadays a lot of the players get on with each other.
No,
I'm
talking about the chief exec.
Don't get me, Ozzy. You try to get me ranting about something else. I mean, players hugging each other after the bloody Manchester derby. I mean,
yeah, that's just.
I'm talking about. 10 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, we all know City are not stupid. City I've got a list within their boardroom of which clubs have done them dirty over the time. They're not stupid. They know which ones. We ain't dealing with them. They're on the watch list. They're on this. And I just think he's missed. I don't think he's quite judged it well. Maybe if he's earning 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe, yeah. I just think he got a little bit excited in a press conference or an interview. He got very excited. I mean, come on. He said KDB and Salah were part of their academy. I don't know what a Chelsea academy he's got, but I'm telling you, they ain't come out of the academy. So,
and the thing is, Martin, sorry, hopefully I'm serious. The thing is, if you listen to the interview, he's a billionaire. He talks finance, and I think he was like poorly PR trained, because a lot of the things that he said, I know it makes total sense in the financial world, but when you talk about people capital, when you talk about franchising, those are some words that I get it. In your world, it makes sense. But now when you're talking to football fans, they don't want to hear people capital. They don't want to hear franchising. They don't want to hear you talk about their club as a franchise. Now, the recognition of an all-star and the best within the league and an event, I get it. A 11 versus 11 or a selected 22 versus 22, because you're going to have a completely different team play against each other. That aspect of North American All-Star games doesn't make sense in the EPL, in my opinion. I think if you want to recognize and have an event where players can maybe show tricks, players can maybe show their accuracy with regards to shooting, players can show their accuracy with regards to passing, and things of that nature, and celebrate them that way, sure. But a game is going to do a disservice, and I really don't think it will sell the sport. The one thing that Todd B also had me cringing too was there was a sense of arrogance with regards to what he can bring to the Premier League, and I get it. I think he can maximize the profitability. I should say the revenue, maybe not the profitability, but he can definitely maximize the revenue and help with that. But the soul of the sport, the reason why it's loved globally, the reason why I love it, and the reason why I love City is because of what is at its core, not for things in America. If it was things in America, I'd be loving something else, right? So they just need to be really careful on what they take to bring and adapt and maybe mirror with regards to this. But I think an actual played game is not going to be great.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, actually, Vaya? If you know it, that is. Do they do this in the MLS as well, the All Stars?
I No, they don't. They don't. But I think it's also because it's also tied to football as a whole, right? Like it's still a lot of it is still based off of I'm going to say European football, and it's like an all-star weekend just isn't it. So it may be something coming down the pipeline, but I don't know it to have an all-star.
And I mean, I think the other thing is, and Vader, you can correct me on this, but isn't there only about 18 games in an NFL season, and then you obviously go on to the playoffs? So even if you play every game, you might only play 22, 23 games, including the All-Star, in the entire season, and there's no international football. And you know, I know back in the days you had the Deion Sanders and the, you know, players like that who then went and played baseball for 6 months, but generally you're talking about players who play 24 games over about 6 months, not players who are playing 75 games over 11 months.
The NFL is like rugby with pads and a helmet, right? So it's a very physical sport, and their all-star, their Pro Bowl happens at the end of the season. So at the end of the season, the best players are recognized. They all go to Hawaii, and there's a scrimmage play, like they play a game, but it's low impact. Again, the football isn't anything to really talk about or promote. There's no real highlights either because everyone's playing at half speed because they don't want to get hurt. It's more of the players getting recognized. What they actually do within the Pro Bowl weekend, their All-Star weekend, is they do recognize the players that have retired and have been entered into the Hall of Fame. So it is a huge event and recognition for current greats as well as past greats that have been inducted. So they do that in a very entertaining, money generating way. But the game that's being played is a very low value.
I mean, we have tried this in terms of, and we're going to move on to a question in a minute. We've got about 20 minutes. I mean, Tottenham have tried to do the American and English sort of relationship, haven't they? As Rich likes to call them, the cheese boards and the NFL and everything else. And we have kind of tried it, like Anthony's mentioned in the comments. If anyone, sorry, I'm going to show my age here, remembers, Rich, you'll remember this, the very first Monday Night Football, the Sky Strikers and the cheerleaders and the ball coming out from the parachute and the fireworks going off in the back. You know, Rich remembers. He stared at the cheerleaders and didn't know the game.
Right, I just remember 20,000 fans singing, you know, "Get your tits out to the lad," and the Premier League being absolutely embarrassed by the fact that was being done to the whole world and never ever doing it again because they realised that, you know, and you know, half of that was a protest against it by the fans, and half of it was because the fans didn't know. You know, some of them just, that was what they were probably genuinely thinking, and it was like, you know, it's stupid. It just embarrassed the game, and so
yeah. And you know what? Yeah. How many times was I on Heroes last season, banging on about a DJ at a Champions League game?
Every other game.
I'm fine. No, I know, but it's just not something that this country. Maybe we're stubborn. Maybe we're stubborn, and we don't want to open up. And maybe no, this is our game, our this, that, and the other, and everything else. And you're not gonna. And maybe we are, but we're very proud of our football. We're very, very proud of this game that we gave out to the world. And you know what? Here's a question for you all. And then, Ozzy, you can go off with your, you can make your team, because I've got a question on that for you. Has the Premier League got into a point? This might be another question for next week. Getting too big for itself now, to where this is just inevitable at some stage. That the money, everything about it is getting so big. It's going to go this way eventually. Is it something that us dinosaurs or English fans are just fighting the inevitable, maybe? Don't all jump at once on that.
Well, I think the money.
Whoa, silence.
The money is getting too much, and I think there are way too many games that don't matter. To me, the whole point of football is that each game is jeopardy. Each game is exciting. Each game has something meaning, and I challenge you to really remember. England played 4 games or something stupid at the start of the end of last season. Hungary and Germany and Italy, and I had to look those up to see who they were. Terrible games. All I remember was them talking about, fans talk about how dull the games were, how pointless, and the players looking bored. And then we have the Champions League group stage. Boring, no good. We have World Cup qualifiers, mainly boring. You had some great excitement in Italy's group, but apart from that, dull as dishwater. Maybe as a Welsh fan, that was a bit more exciting for countries who don't get there, who aren't expected to get there. Yes, it's exciting, but for the biggest teams who get there to the World Cup every year, it can be quite tedious. So there's so much football and so many games that count for nothing, and we've got to simplify that. Every game should matter. Every game should count for something, and that's what we've got to chop out.
Yeah, Ozzy, is it in danger of imploding?
Yeah, I mean, as you were alluding before, this may be a question for another time, for another show, just because I think it has
It was
so
a
many.
teaser.
The teaser is that yes, I mean you could look at this as it's delaying the inevitable. It feels that this is an offshoot to as we've talked about before, the Super League. It really comes down to every European club agreeing to this as well, because it feels like it just wouldn't be us. It would have to branch out to, La Liga and Liga One, and it just feels like it would go that way. So I think these things are inevitable because you can't stop the progress, and the biggest thing you can't stop is money. When these clubs want to make money, they're going to make it. I think that's a sad thing.
And you know what? I think this is something we will touch on another stream. I think it could be quite an intriguing conversation. Right.
Yeah.
Let's
Sorry, Martin. I was
imagine
just going to say.
Oh, go on, Roberto.
I was just going to say, if there's money to be made, or if they calculate and they see that there's money out there, they're going to go out and try and get it. And I agree with what Rich was saying in terms of there are too many games. There's a point where the threshold's too high. But when you get people like Arsene Wenger, who's talking about wanting the World Cup every 2 years and making arguments for why it would be possible, you realize that like there is an interest, whether maybe it's not us, but there is an interest among others that want more football. And maybe they don't necessarily want more football at the highest level, at the best quality. They just want more of it. So being over here in North America, there's obviously the pros, but they keep expanding because they're called franchises here, right? So they keep looking for other cities to add another team, and what that ends up doing is kind of diluting the quality, because now you're having more players spread out amongst other teams, so the quality of play isn't quite as high. What I love about, and the reason why I fell in love with English football is because there is no such thing as tanking. I think Todd Bowley talked about it in the interview. The idea that it's such a closed shop in American sports that your franchise is here to stay. Whether you are the worst to have ever played in this game, you're still guaranteed to try your best next season. Whereas in English football, which I absolutely love, is you're rewarded for being amongst the 17 best teams. If you're not, you're out the door and you have to try again. I love that everyone has a shot. And it looks like they're just trying to, down the road, guarantee as much money as they can. And that Super League was trying to be a closed shop. That's why it got rejected by fans like you that and speaking your voice and saying we don't want it. But that's what they're just trying to do. They're just trying to generate more funds. And this conversation is going to continue in a different way, whether it's all stars or whether it's more games. It's just the greed of the sport, unfortunately, or I should say the greed of the owners.
And if you want to make money and you want to do something and, you know, do it, I'd much rather, you know, they do it the Deadpool way than do it, you know, this Premier League games. I mean, you know, go and buy a team in the non-league and go and try and turn that club into a Premier League team and do it. You know, I don't know if any of you have been watching the show on Wrexham, but that is the way to do it. That's having fun. That's actually.
I felt sorry for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
thought he got set up in one or two questions.
He did, but the thing is, they've actually gone and they've gone for the dream. They've gone to do the impossible, and they've gone to do what the football should be about, and that is promotion and relegation. Now,
they did, Rich, but I get you, Rich, and I'm sorry to. Yes, they did, but you still got that real ask that question. You know, can you name the offside rule in 11 words or less?
Yeah,
that was to make him look stupid. Canadian and the Americans don't know the offside rule.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's the point. If they, you know, I doubt they particularly knew that there was a Welsh language, or I doubt they heard of Wrexham. I mean,
well, they didn't know they were that far down in the league.
But that was all about the idea that someone suddenly realised that there's this thing called promotion and relegation, and that actually you can go and do things the way that they perhaps should be done, which is building them up from the grassroots and doing things through the league. It'll still be a bit about money and stuff like that. But, you know, there's so many great old historic clubs that if people have got billions they want to come and spend on football, come and get Oldham back to the top flight. Come and pump some money into, you know, North Manchester. Come and, you know, bring them back. You know, Notts County, the oldest club in the game, aren't they? You know, come and rescue them and make them back in some great. Just try and do something interesting. Don't come and try and buy one of the biggest 3 or 4 clubs and then just turn it into a franchise and you know, make money. You know, and I know that's a bit hypocritical because it's happened to City, and that's where we are.
Rick, that's just been clipped and someone's put you on.
That's. Yeah,
I think we need to bring Rich Rants back, don't we? Let's be honest, because like,
but you know, I think I don't know if it was you, Martin, but I remember thinking to myself in the first half of the Dortmund game, I'd rather be watching City Wickham. I mean, there is a lot in that, you know.
No. You know what upset me? And I'm sorry to. Do you know what upset me? It wasn't. Yeah, it was boring. I get that. But and I said this to Ozzy. What upset me was some of the fans' attitudes of we're 0-0 at half time. We weren't losing. We weren't like dog shit awful. We were not great, but it wasn't dog shit awful. And we were like having a complete meltdown at 0-0. And I said it to Ozzy earlier in the WhatsApp chat of, wow, you know, and that's what upset me a lot. And that's what got me. And that's when I went, Christ, get me back to City Wickham. Get me back there. And it wasn't just, it's not because I'm a dinosaur or I think I'm a better fan than anybody else. Nothing to do with that. You got to understand, me and Rich, especially because we're 2 old fossils, we're from an era where 0-0 at half time against Dortmund's not a bloody crisis. We're sat there going, yeah, that's all right. I'm sorry, we just are.
Dinosaurs, we know. You keep telling us
it, but I know, but I just, you know, maybe it's me. Maybe
It's
it's
just you and Rich. Dinosaurs are us.
No, I just think also there's a fundamental, and as we're becoming good, and as we're getting sustained success, it is changing, and this is a
I'm
kind
getting
of
told to
whole
piss
fan
off.
base. A whole fan base thing is that fundamentally, the reason I'm a City fan is growing up in an area that was blue, having family that were City fans, and it was never about success. I honestly, as a kid, I'd have probably taken one FA Cup in the rest of my life, and that would have been, something successful. Losing to Spurs in '81, devastating, but it was never about, it's never about success. And as things have changed, there's a lot of fans now who supporting City is about success. And, there's a lot of fans out there who their own self-worth gets determined by how their team's performing. I think it's why we see with Liverpool fans this kind of cult-like deluded mentality. That's not all Liverpool fans, but it's a lot, particularly on social media, because their own self-worth is hit when Liverpool don't win, because they supported Liverpool for reflected success, reflected glory that they think makes them a better person. And so they actually personally feel degraded by it. I don't feel degraded if City lose. It was just what happened every week, and almost was, almost gave you the excitement of a win. And, that's what will change with City. And once that happens, those fans get angry when their teams lose, because they actually feel that they're a lesser person because of the loss. And so they then have to make excuses. And Liverpool's case, it's that they've got the best player in every position and the best manager in the world ever, etc. But that is all because of the psychological need to make an excuse for why they feel lesser for what they're doing. And that's what happens. And that's what we have to live with.
I said, I'm a dinosaur. I'll move out. I don't mind. My time's come. Take me out back and shoot. A lot of people. Bloody hell, there'll be a queue out the door if they offer that out. Jesus.
So can I bring it back then, Martin?
Yeah, I'm just going to jump into a couple of comments, Oz, because I've ignored the chat. Martin, can you name the 5 clubs who won the Champions League once only? Can any of you do that? I know 4 of them. Porto, Celtic, Red Star Belgrade.
That was all the European Cup. Well, Porto,
I think he means that. Porto, Red Star Belgrade, Celtic, PSV.
Marseille, didn't they win it?
I don't know the fifth
more
one.
Than once.
Don't know the 5th one. Right, go on then, Oz.
So I'm going to bring it back a little bit, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with this whole North and South, all-star game. And I'd like to kind of say to each one of you, I'd like to pick a starting 11. And before you kind of start going, although it's going to be all City and Liverpool, I'm only going to let you have 2 players from each club. Okay, so only 2 players from one club. Can I get a starting position for the goalkeeper?
Well, I've got to go in a couple of minutes. Ozzy, shall I just throw out what I'd go for, and then I'll drop off, and you can slag off everything I've said.
We normally do, mate. We normally do, but go on.
And I've only thought about it from the North point of view, but
that's all we're doing.
First and foremost, all they will want to do is jam in the biggest players. So I guarantee 100% you'd have Haaland, KDB, and Salah in without a question, even though it wouldn't make for the best team. It'd be about the money, so it'd be about getting the players in. And then you'd probably have Van Dijk. So they'd probably be the players you'd take from City and Liverpool, just because that's what the money would dictate. So then if you're getting them from other clubs, I'd say Nick Pope's probably been as good a keeper this season.
That's a good show.
Someone like Guimarães from Newcastle, I think they're probably the other club. Fullbacks, probably someone like Dean at Villa, because I think Villa would be in the north because there's so many London clubs. But don't really know about right back. I'm not really sure who'd be right back. From from the rag, you'd have to have a couple. I guess you'd have to have a couple of United players. So probably play United's right back. Someone like Casemiro, you know, and then I guess you then plugging in a few. I'm trying to think. You go someone like Connor Cody from Everton at centre back. Is that 11?
Yeah, I think that's roughly about 11. Yeah, mate.
Yeah, I think
please.
Like that, but I don't know that it would be a good team. It would just be try and get the biggest names in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I kind of suggested only 2 players from one club would be allowed in this, just so we didn't get a completely, City and Liverpool mix. So, please take part in the chat. I'm going to ask you, Martin, for your goalkeeper then.
And I better say,
got head off
Rich.
to work things. Cheers.
Yeah.
Take it
Yeah.
easy.
Cheers, Rich. I'll come. Anthony, by the way, Porto were in that. Porto have only won it once. Porto won it more than once. I'm not sure. I'm going to check that out. What do you want? Just 2?
No, I said, you can only pick 2 players
11.
from one club. So for starting 11, goalkeeper, who'd you pick?
Pickford.
Okay. Vaya?
I'm only allowed 2 from City and Liverpool, and there's more important players.
For a keeper?
For a
Yeah.
keeper, yeah.
Has
You
to
know
be
what, I agree.
Pickford, there's nobody else. Pickford.
Did Rich say Pope? I think Pope's a good
Rich
shout.
Pope. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Who
been
would he
good.
have a right back? And we got to have a right back. Can I just have?
No, you got a right back. So I don't want any other play because this is what makes it interesting. So I'll tell you who my choice is for goalkeeper. I did think about Pope because he is good, but I've already got a couple of Newcastle players in other positions. So mine would have been Iliam from Leeds. He's a French international. He's quite good, I think. He's decent for Leeds, so that's my pick anyway. Go on then,
That's
right
the
back.
question. Just on this, where did the Midlands club come in this?
Well, I think as Rich said, there are more London-based clubs, so I think the Midlands would come up to the north.
Well, are we talking south of Villa, south of the river? I don't know where we're going here. This is where
I'd say
you'd have to draw a line.
Yeah, you'd have to draw a line. And
M6 toll. Anything above the M6 tolls? No, sorry.
At right back, I'd put Trippier.
Yeah, he was my shout for right back.
Oh, Vator. Shout, because you had me stumped. Right back is Trippier.
Yeah, that's who I went for, Trippier. Left back.
I don't know, I'm going with whatever Vator says. He's on the ball here. Centre back.
Left back, I said.
Oh, left.
Left back.
Let him answer, Vator. Otherwise, I'll only nick yours.
Yeah, that's right. Your turn, Martin.
All right, I'll go with. It was a left back at United. Below, is it?
Yeah.
Is he left back? Okay.
Sure he is,
Or is it?
isn't
No? Is he left or right back?
he? Who's the left back at United? I'll have him.
Isn't it?
Sure, isn't it?
Or
No.
Malaysia?
Yeah. Changed
Malaysia.
it now.
Yeah,
Malaysia, whatever his name is.
Malaysia.
No,
Yeah.
Cook and London, Sean. You can't have him. We're doing the Northern team, mate. Because we're Northerners. We're not Southerners.
Okay, your centre back pairing, Martin. By the way, Luca Digne was going to be my pick.
Yeah, bollocks. He's at Villa, mate. You can't have him.
Sorry, I gotta mute. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to mute. My daughter's playing music. I don't want to mess up your stream.
No, don't worry. You've got to go through the M6 toll to get to Villa, so you can't have Digne. Van Dijk. Connor Cody.
Okay. All right.
You see what I mean? This is not selling tickets already, Ozzy.
Well, I know, mate, but this is why I
ain't
want to
selling
make it.
tickets. I've put Connor Cody in my team.
Hey, I've put I put Virgil van Dijk, and I've also put James Delkowski. So,
See what I mean?
I know it's not the All Stars, but it just would have been. Let's be honest, it
This
would
is
have
why
been
the idea don't
Liverpool
work,
and
because
City.
you can't have a City and Liverpool mix in 11. I mean, your front three's easy, isn't it?
Well, we're coming to
Salah,
that, Martin. We're
Haaland.
coming to that. So we're going for a 4-3-3 anyway as position. So CDM, Martin. As I can't answer at the moment.
Casemiro.
Good shout, Veta.
Does Bruno Guimaraes play CDM? I'm sure he's more defensive than he is attacking at times.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So you can tell we researched this part of the show.
Well, I mean, I went for Casemiro as well. You know,
Right, we'll have to go with Casemiro. And then
so front three then, Martin. Like you said, this is the easy part apparently according to you.
oh yeah, my front three's well easy. Haaland, Salah, and that Foden.
Sorry, who'd you say? Haaland,
Haaland,
Salah,
Salah, and Foden.
Okay.
No, do you know what? Bollocks! I'm going to boil piss, Jack Grealish. I'm going to boil the piss. Jack Grealish is in.
I think we have missed two more players in midfield, Martin, but go on as you jumped ahead.
Bruno Guimaraes, he's got to go in.
Okay. And who else?
Can I change my left back, by the way? I'm having Lodi at Forest.
Good shout, actually. Good shout.
It's only because they've come out with Lingard. Beta's listening to music at the minute.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So I was going to have for the rest of my midfield, apart from Casemiro, would have been KDB, and who did you say, Martin?
Foden.
No, midfield, Martin. You put him Foden in midfield.
Bruno Guimaraes. No, take Foden out. Bruno Guimaraes, KDB, and Casemiro.
Yeah. Okay.
See, CMT's got Melier, Dalot. That's who I had. Dalot. Told you it was Varane. Trippier. See, Bruno Guimaraes, everyone's going. Dunker, Harrison, Leeds, Salah, Haaland, Alvarez. Alvarez can't go into the bloody All-Star team. Jesus. Can't even get in the bleeding City team.
Well, I went for
team.
Yeah, for my front three, it was going to be Salah, Haaland, of course, and St. Maximin. So yeah,
everyone's gone. Alan Ball, Colin Bell, Adrian Heath, Rodney Marsh.
You have to dig up half of these people.
Nottingham too far south. Piss off, we're having it. It's more north than bloody Villa, and he stuck Villa players in. Gary Owen.
There's more south teams than there are northern teams, so that's why I went for Midlands.
Anyway, listen, it was not the greatest idea by Mr. Bowler. It can piss off and learn about your own club. Sorry, bad idea. Piss off, learn about your own football club first. Right, we are going to wrap it there because we've just hit the bloody funny farm hour. King Cladze, Alec Johnson, my man, get in. Gio, get in. Thank you. Sorry, put King Cladze in. That's it. Yes. He has. Look.
I know, I can see.
Clancy. Gio. Sorry.
Look
Anyway.
at the dinosaur go.
Anyway. Cheers, Vader. Vader's going to shoot because he's got to go and listen to his daughter. Thank you very much, mate. I don't know why I've suddenly just...
Good seeing you, mate.
Stream. What the frig's gone? Yeah, a bit too kinky. Do the South team quick. Jesus.
I only did my research.
I haven't done that much research.
Yeah, no, I just mainly stuck to the Northern team because I thought.
I tell you what, I'll have Barnett's 11. They've got a good 11. Right. Anyway, big thank you to Rich and Vader for joining us tonight. And Ozzy, he's back. Take a good look. You probably won't see him again for another 4 weeks. But
see him here, see him there.
Oh, he's more part-time than bloody ever this one at the minute. No, Ozzy is working very hard. And like we said, he's balancing work and social life and family life together.
Yeah.
No.
Mate, it's work and family.
Sorry, you just went like, but I don't know what you were doing there, mate. Anyway, yes, Ozzy will be back. Big thank you to everyone. I don't know when there will be a Wolves preview post-match now. I may be going to the game. So I won't be back till Sunday. So, but I won't know until fully tomorrow whether I'm at the game or not. If I am at the game, it'll be Sunday when we do the post-match. So I do apologize. It won't be Saturday. If I don't go to the game, then we'll do a post-match on Saturday afterwards. But if not, Martin will be getting drunk. Because it's my day off from helping my parents. Gotta have a day off. Anyway, so big thank you to everyone in the chat. Blue Art, it's been lovely to get you back tonight, mate. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that's not your last time. Colonel Ward, Anthony, Tyrone, Sean, CM City. I mean, Jesus, there's been loads of you tonight. I could go through and go through and go through and go through. Colin Pollitt, True City fan Patrick has been in the chat. SOS has been back. In really, really good seeing you all tonight. Muddy Duck, as normal, Stephen Dempster, Neil Handstock, everyone has been back tonight, and it is lovely to see you all. Please do us all a favour. Michael Judge as well, Mingy Wong, Jack Lee was in earlier, Ryan earlier, everyone who's been in. It's just, I'm loving it. Even Ozzy's been in the chat tonight when he knows he's banned. That rule had changed. Get your bottom lip back out. Anyway, Noah Pearson as well. Have a lovely, lovely. The Daily News in 10 will be back tomorrow morning. Don't forget, they don't come out over the weekend. So we'll do one tomorrow, and then it'll be back out again on Monday. Please go and watch the preview, the post-match, to the Dortmund game. And also, if you want to watch this back at your own leisure, you can do. But yes, we'll be back at some point. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Daily News in 10. We will then be back live either Saturday after the game or Sunday after the game. But keep an eye on our socials at Horsey Sitter. I can now put them actually all back on screen. So if you want to see them, there you go. Next week, I've got a big special guest coming on next Thursday. Haven't we, Ozzy? We've now sorted it and arranged, and it's all in place for next Thursday. But we're not going to tell you.
Looking forward to that, mate.
We're not telling you who, but he's coming in next Thursday night. It'll be great to have him on. Or them on. Anyway, have a lovely, lovely time. Give it a like on your way out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're nearly at 725. Thank you so much. We're shooting up in subscribers and likes and views. Please share it around and help us get your channel to 1,000 subscribers. Brian Gardner, you come in as we're about to leave, mate. I do apologise. Watch it back on the replay anyway. Take care. and I will also get back to you. What's it put? Oh, another week not knowing what? What? Wayne Clark? What? I'm totally lost here. Where are we on here? Anyway, I'm not getting involved.
Anyway,
Take
see you
care.
later, guys.
Have a lovely evening. See you later.